What is up, guys? It's me, Zachary, back bringing some more NBA news and updates. Day 3 of the 2019 NBA playoffs are officially over, so you guys already know that we're gonna have a heck of a lot to talk about today. So with that being said, without further ado, let's just get into everything that we gotta talk about today. Let's go. For our first story of the day. Now, we all remember Kyle Lowry's Game 1 performance against the Orlando Magic. The game, of course, where he went scoreless, 0 of 7 from the field, but did have 7 rebounds and 8 assists, and overall was a plus 11 in the box score, even though the Toronto Raptors wound up losing that game. And because he went scoreless in a Raptors loss, Kyle Lowry, of course, caught a heck of a lot of heat from the fans and from the media, because this performance did remind us all of the Kyle Lowry and the Toronto Raptors of old, where Kyle Lowry will be amazing during the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, he would fizzle out. So according to a majority of NBA fans, Kyle Lowry was awful in Game 1, but according to Kyle Lowry himself, he says that he believes that he played the right way, and the only reason people are paying too much attention to the fact that he didn't score is because the Raptors lost that game. It's happened before. I'm a guy who plays basketball the right way. Just because I didn't score doesn't mean I didn't play the right way. Because we lost, it looks worse. I just gotta make sure I'm more aggressive. I think the situation that we're in, the way they're guarding me, I can look to score a lot more watching the film, but we'll see. You have to go with what the game gives you. AKA, he's basically trying to say that the defense the Orlando Magic were giving him in Game 1 didn't cater to him scoring, it catered to him being more of a facilitator, so that's what he was trying to do. He didn't want to force his own offense, and that's what he considers playing the right way. And it does make sense, but here's the thing. When you're a leader of a team getting paid $33 million in the playoffs, you would at least expect that person to score 1 point or have 1 basket made, or just be a little more aggressive trying to get their own offense going, because when you're a little more aggressive trying to get your own offense, it'll make the defense have to pay more attention to Kyle Lowry, which will free up the other guy as well. So I do expect him to be a lot more aggressive in Game 2, considering that this is now a must win for Toronto. They cannot afford to lose this game. For our next story of the day, well, we can fully expect the offseason rumors to kick up 1,000 notches once the playoffs officially come to an end. In regards to rumors about trades, drafts, and what players are going to sign where, it seems we're already starting to get some of these reports out now, as we're getting reports out surrounding Kemba Walker and the Dallas Mavericks, as sources who claim to have insider knowledge of the Dallas Mavericks just said that the Mavericks' top target in free agency this summer will be the 3-time All-Star Kemba Walker. 2 sources with knowledge of Mavericks thinking expect Walker, the Hornets' 3-time All-Star point guard, to be the team's top target when free agency begins on July 1st. Kemba Walker to the Dallas Mavericks would make a heck of a lot of sense for both parties. In Kemba Walker's case, he might be looking for a team which will give him a better opportunity to consistently make the playoffs and to compete. And Kemba Walker on the Dallas Mavericks, alongside Kristaps Porzingis and Luka Doncic, with a great head coach in Rick Carlisle, there's no doubt that he would have a better chance to compete with the Dallas Mavericks than he's had so far in his career with the Charlotte Hornets. And as for the Dallas Mavericks, looking for a score-first guard like Kemba Walker to pair alongside Luka Doncic, I believe is the right move. It kind of reminds me of how Kyrie Irving and LeBron James would be on the Cleveland Cavaliers. So this report does make sense, and I do believe that the Dallas Mavericks will have a lot of interest in Kemba Walker once he hits free agency, but so will a bunch of other teams as well. And where Kemba Walker ends up, it's completely up to him and only time will tell. Next up in the news, I was worried about the Philadelphia 76ers in the first half of this game a bit, since this was now a must-win game for Philly, and despite that, the Brooklyn Nets were once again looking as if they might be able to eke out another win and go up 2-0 in the series. And if that were to have happened, then it most likely would have meant the end of Philly in the playoffs, if you were to ask me. No way would the Nets win both games in Philly and then go on to lose the series. That wouldn't happen. So for Philly, they really needed to use this one game to send a clear message that they are the better team and that there was a reason why they were the overwhelming favorites to win this series coming into it. And I'm guessing that's something that Brad Stevens must have said during the halftime locker room meeting, because the Philadelphia 76ers after the halftime break were a completely different team. Scored 51 points in the third quarter, which ties a record set by the Lakers all the way back in 1962 for the most points scored in a single quarter during the playoffs. And according to Sixers players like Jimmy Butler, this did have a 100% to do with the halftime speech that Brett Brown gave. As here's what Jimmy Butler had to say. He came in there and he said a few cuss words, which shocked me a little bit to tell the truth, but I like it. This is the type of energy I love. Make sure everybody did their job. Letting them know we can't have it. It's not winning basketball, and we came out and did what we're supposed to do. Yeah, Philly gave the fans in this game absolutely no reason to do anything besides cheer. There was no booing going on in this game, and speaking of booing, Ben Simmons, who the Philadelphia 76ers crowd booed in their first game for his performance, was a heck of a lot better here in game 2, with 18 points, 12 assists, and 10 rebounds, and the final score read 145 to 123. This is exactly the type of game that the Philadelphia 76ers needed to have before the series shifts to Brooklyn, since even though they might be the favorites to win, this Brooklyn Nets team right here, they're not just going to roll over and play dead. They have way too much fight and way too much grit to ever give up. And now for what will actually be our final story of the day, and even though this is technically just one story, there's so many stories engulfed in it that it's going to be a lot to cover. But of course, the last thing that we gotta talk about is the madness that was the Golden State Warriors versus the Los Angeles Clippers, and I don't even know where to start with this one, but I guess we'll start with the bad news, as early on in the first quarter, DeMarcus Cousins went down with an injury, as after he came up with the steal on the fast break, he just went down, kind of collapsed, I guess you could say, and eventually he did get up and hobble a bit, but just went straight back to the locker room. And this is a graphic warning for anyone out there. If you look at his leg, you can clearly see that something was terribly wrong, and it is, as we started to get reports out that while nothing will be finalized until later tonight when the Warriors get the results from the MRI, but so far the major fear for the Warriors is that DeMarcus Cousins will have to miss the remainder of the season with a torn quad. That's beyond rough. Guy just worked his butt off to come back from one major injury only to go down with another in the playoffs, and what was actually DeMarcus Cousins' first playoff run of his career. That's devastating. And thinking to the future of this free agency, he is once again going to be in the same boat this summer as he was last summer. His whole goal when signing with the Warriors was to take a one-year deal, prove that he can still play, and then contribute to a winning team, and then land a much bigger deal over the summer. Now there's no way that happens, since he will once again be an injured free agent. So prayers up to DeMarcus Cousins. This is awful news, but that's not all that we have to talk about when it comes to this game, as even though they lost DeMarcus Cousins, the Warriors were still able to put 4 All-Stars out there on the court, and with their 4-0 All-Star advantage over the Clippers, it was looking like LA would just be simply overwhelmed, falling behind by as many as 31 points, and at halftime the score was 77-50. Yes, this game was over, or it was supposed to be over, and I don't even know how to begin to describe what happened next, as somehow the Warriors still lost. Yeah, the team with 4 All-Stars, 2 former MVPs, really through the best flat-out shooters that the league has to offer, blew a 31-point lead and lost in the playoffs at home to a team that doesn't even have a single All-Star. This is why playoff basketball is phenomenal. There's nothing like the NBA playoffs. It's the greatest thing that I could ever hope for. When else will you ever hear something like this? A 31-point comeback in a 1v8 matchup. Once again, 4 All-Stars versus 0. This type of stuff doesn't happen, but when we have Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell coming off the bench, I suppose anything is possible, as the 2 of those players were absolutely phenomenal in this game. Williams was in his bag, finished with 36 points and 11 assists, and Montrezl Harrell was a perfect 9 of 9 from the field for 25 points as well as 10 rebounds. Meanwhile, get this, for the Golden State Warriors, Kevin Durant had more turnovers than he did field goal attempts. Only shot the ball 8 times, but turned it over 9. He still did finish with 21 points, but also fouled out the game. I mean, more turnovers than field goal attempts for Kevin Durant. I don't think you will ever see that happen again. And overall, this was the biggest comeback in NBA playoff history, a 31-point comeback. And here is what the star player for the Clippers, Lou Williams, had to say about it after the game. "That's a record we didn't necessarily want to have. We'll take it, you're competitive, and you get lost in the game. Once you cut the lead to 12, you can cut it to 10. Then you realize you got a game going. I'm one of those players who can just get hot." As for Steve Kerr, head coach of the Golden State Warriors, well, of course, he wasn't too happy about the performance, as he says that the team literally just stopped playing. When I say we stopped playing, we stopped playing. Like defense, offense, execution-wise, we were not as engaged as we needed to be. We got exactly what we deserved. The Clippers were great. They executed. They were hungry. They stayed connected. They were together. Man, shout out to the Los Angeles Clippers, bro. They're out here giving me hope and faith that my Pistons won't get swept by the Milwaukee Bucks. They're giving me faith that maybe we'll be able to just scrape by and win one game. But I guess we'll see how long this faith and hope of mine will actually last. That though is going to do it for everything that we gotta talk about today. Hope you did enjoy the video, and if you did, you already know that I need you to go ahead and destroy that like button, as well as make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with post notifications turned on so you can stay up to date with everything that goes on in the NBA on a daily basis, at least when there's a game in the playoffs. That being said though, we got a few games going down tonight, so you guys already know that I'll be right back here tomorrow recapping everything that happens today. Until then though, you guys already know that you are the real MVPs, and keep getting the buckets, Team SDC, and I'm out of here.